Welcome, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. We are arrived a Tuesday night in the Prog Seat once again. Thanks for joining. We're going to take a little deviation from our favorite bands A to Z for a week. And today we're going to visit the land of France. We're going to talk about our favorite prog bands, prog rock, prog metal, and fusion.
How dare you?
All right. That's what we
will blend them
in the Prog Seat. All right.
Because fuck you, that's why.
Just so everybody knows. So we're picking our top 5 favorite bands from France. All right. This is the first time we're talking about the French bands. We've probably mentioned some of these bands here and there, but we've never done a show completely all on French bands. We are, as we go through this year and next year, we're going to do countries here and there. We've already done a few of them, so we'll continue doing that. So let me introduce everybody here on the panel. We've got one of my 2 fellow New Yorkers here. We got Chuck Alvarez. Representing Pennsylvania, we got Chad Hutchinson. We got the 1-2 punch from Chicago, Illinois. We got Louis Nasser and George Lamy, the professor of Prague from the Laser's Edge, Century Records, down from New Jersey, Ken Golden.
Hey.
And the other part of the trio from New York, Mr. Eric Porter. So good evening, gentlemen. You guys ready to talk some French prog?
Absolutely.
Good evening. Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
Sounds like a dessert or something. Would you like some French prog, perhaps?
You know, we're going to absolutely destroy this language.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
At the end of the night,
For sure.
I should apologize up front. It's going to be bad.
Man.
Those crazy Americans, they don't know how to pronounce anything. They don't know what they're talking about.
I'm going to get roasted.
Somebody in the comments is going to spell out every band we mispronounce phonetically.
Yes. I would expect nothing less. So, yeah. So what we'll do is, so we got 5. So why don't we do this? How about each turn, everybody mentions 2. So we'll do one go round 2, and then we'll mention our top picks at the end, right? Because do we do 5 or 3? What are we doing? 5 or 3?
5.
Yep, there we go. So so we'll start off with Chuck for his first 2 picks. We'll go Chuck, Chad, Lewis, Ken, Eric, George, and myself, and then we'll go round and round until we finish. So Chuck, give us your first 2 picks.
Okay. Once again, good evening, everyone. So that my picks from the great French bands. My first one is Heldon 6 Interface. But what's a Heldon is my first band, and then my second band is Pulsar.
I'm going to kill him.
Halloween.
I got 2 of my bands.
Bro, France has some great bands, man. But
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff is hard to find, man. And then but those 2 bands right there, you can't start off. You start off pretty much fresh on those 2 bands. Pulsar and Heldon are my first 2 picks.
Great choices. All right, Chad.
Very good. All right, my first choice is a band on the Cuneiform label, and that is Yang. They came out of the ashes of Philharmony breaking up. Quartet, 2 guitars, bass, drums, heavy avant-garde rock, some jazzy bits in there. Kind of like some King Crimson mixed with Gosta Berling Saga. They even have maybe some Islands era King Crimson, some 80s era King Crimson in there. All instrumental. This one came out in 2002. This one came out in 2004, sorry. And apparently they have a brand new one this year called Design for Disaster, which I haven't heard, and it's getting pretty good ratings. So number 5 is Yang. This album's called A Complex Nature. That's their first one. And I'm sure this is going to be one of Ken's Hall of Fame picks for tonight. So
He's got a French Hall of Fame too?
Absolutely.
He does.
Come on.
Dude, you've been to his house. You already know the answer to that question.
I have a Hall of Fame from Bali.
And that would be Pete's favorite band, Magma.
Of course.
And I went with Ka on this one just because it's a little bit more accessible. I think it's a little bit more melodic. I actually think Ka's a pretty nice album. I don't remember if they debuted it. Did they debut it at Nearfest 03? I forget. They played Nearfest 03 and 07, and even the non-believers believed by the time they were done. Pete, I don't know if you saw them in 03.
Except Pete.
I saw half the show and then I left.
All right. We tried. That's all I can tell you is we tried.
I have a theory, Pete. Let's see what you think. I think the reason you don't really care for them, in part, has to do with the fact that they really, really, really are not giving the guitar any importance at all. If you think about it, because I know you like ELP and you like Atomic Rooster and things like that, but just the way that it's structured, it is really not
I like
guitar
the
friendly.
music. Musically, I don't mind them. I can't stand the chanting and all the Cobain vocals, which, by the way, if Christian Vander's watching, he's probably like, we are not a French band, we are Cobain. Does not count.
Well, that brings up a story, actually. By the way, here's the booklets that's in this one. It's actually pretty funny. This little teeny tiny booklet.
Wow.
But if you're ever going to give him another chance, Pete, this might be the one to try. It's a little more melodic. Anyway, so in Nearfest 2002, we went to announce a band for 2003. And Rob and I were up on stage, and I pretended like I had a fax. We just got a fax from somebody who confirmed their addition to the lineup for 2003. And we started spelling out MA, and everybody's starting to think, oh, it's going to be Marillion. And then I said, oh, I think I'm holding this fax upside down. It's written in Cobain. And the place just kind of, half the people went, ah, crap. The other one went, oh my God. So I think it was quite the like dichotomy of reactions when we did that, but that was pretty fun.
You know, I can't sit through their records, but I will go see them live anytime.
They were because I'm with Pete. I can't listen to them, but I went to 03 and they were very powerful live. But the vocal part, I'm with you, Pete. I can't get past it. I just can't.
Yeah, I try.
I don't pull them out very often, but I will say I like them.
I find a lot of their music very repetitive too, which I think drives me a little nuts. But you know what I like the best? I had a good chunk of the catalog and I got rid of all of it. I tried for like 2 decades to get into this stuff, and I just said, you know what, this band just ain't clicking with me. So I got rid of it. The first album, the one that's like really, really jazzy, if I remember correctly. That's the one. That's the best one for me. I didn't mind that.
Is it okay if I talk about Magma? So, I mean, because this is the most important French progressive rock band. They're not my favorite band by any stretch of the imagination, but there were 2 key bands that we're going to talk about tonight, and this is the one, Magma. And, you know, this is a band that created their own genre of music. I mean, we talk about Zool, we always refer to Zool, and then the musicians that spiraled out of this band is just enormous, and they had tremendous importance in the French jazz rock scene. So, you know, you have guys like Didi Lockwood. So a lot of the bands we're going to talk about and musicians talk about at one time or another were in Magma. So you might not like the band, but their importance is undeniable. This is a great album because the first 2 albums are the albums they were singing in French. So this is more like Miles Davis meets Chicago.
It's like a jazz rock album. That's why that's the only one I ever liked. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the first 2 albums. And then, you know, then Vander got hit by a lightning bolt in the head and he came up with this Cobain bullshit and you know, and the rest is history.
I love it, man.
No, I mean, it's true. I mean, you know, a lot, you know, live, I think live, it's a much better experience listening to them live. And I always, we talked about it in the past, the double live album, High Live, that's the entry point for the band because it has probably the least amount of vocals, the most amount of them stretching out, Lockwood's all over it. It's a beautiful jazz rock album, you know, but yeah. So like I said, I mean, very, you know, a very divisive band on so many levels, but really this is the French band. I stuck them in my Hall of Fame. Anyway, I'll shut up. So
that's all the points. And I hear rain outside, guys. So I'm
so happy.
Wow. We got our quarter of an inch about an hour ago.
Oh, okay. But as I say that it sounded like it ended already. So we got 30 seconds of something.
Both drops.
Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking more about Magma tonight. I won't personally, but yeah. Lewis.
All right. I wasn't going to talk about Magma because I was hoping Ken would talk about them and Charles in great detail. Although I love them, I don't have any of their records except the live recording from the BBC. I just love them live. I have seen them thanks to Chad twice and Rob, and they're incredible. And then I later went to see them. So 3 times. I saw them when they did a tour of the States. They played at Reggie's in Chicago, and that was incredible. But the bands that I want to talk about now, the first one, my number 5, is an instrumental band called Priam. And this is an album called Diffraction. I think it's from 2001. I think this is their second record.
I'm sure they're not Spanish.
I think they're from France.
Brian?
Yeah.
Everything here is written in French, and I think they're French.
They did that to trick you.
Maybe.
You're right. I mean, yeah, we had them at
They played in Allentown at the Crocodile Rock.
Yep.
yeah.
It's
I
a great
completely
set.
forgot about. I just thought they
I
thought
love
they were
these
Spanish.
guys. And then the other my number 4 is a band that I think they're very original. And if memory serves, George Roldan had them as headliners one year at Rossfest, which I thought was a very strange choice because I don't think they're that popular here in the States, but this is particularly my favorite album by them. I'm talking about Lazuli on Avant Doute. And these guys are really, really great. I think that it's very difficult for me to describe them. They have a very powerful, emotive, not operatic, but really good female vocalist. If anything, I like their mixture of electronic sounds and electric sounds and acoustic sounds. I would just take this a step further from what they did, and I would just forget having a guitar player try to sound like a theremin, and I would just hire a theremin player. Because this would be even better if it actually had a really good theremin player. But they're very interesting. I don't really know very many bands that sound quite like these guys. So that would be my number 5, Priam. Number 4, Lazuli.
Luis, did you say they have a French vocalist?
They do.
A female vocal? I'm sorry, a female?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Well, either that or the dude sings like a lady.
John Anderson again.
Well, no, John Anderson sings like a fairy. This dude sings like a lady.
It's dude sings like a lady, but I'm pretty sure it's a dude.
Maybe so, because now that you mention it, and now I'm looking at the photograph for the first time in 20 years or no, 18 years. All I see are dudes. Although now in today's gender fluid reality, I don't know.
Dominique, the singer's name is Dominique.
Well, Dominique, je suis désolé, pardon, but you sing like a lady. And it's a really, really good album. This one also has a DVD from a live concert in Nîmes. It's a great band. And George had them at Rossfest. I was admittedly very drunk by the time they showed up, so I don't remember the show that well, but I really enjoy their music. So Lazuli, my number 4, and Priam. This is really for instrumental music aficionados. This is a good band.
Yeah,
Both of those albums are great.
Yes. I don't know what happened to them, but if you can find these records, snatch them up because they're good.
Yep, agreed.
The guitar player, well, the leader of Lazuli, he plays it like this homemade like synthesizer or something like that. Looks like kind of like I remember it looks so like a stick, like a Chapman stick or something like that.
Yeah. Again, my memory was a little bit hazy. I did see them.
What year were they at Rossfest?
I think it was like 2008 or something like that.
If it was 2010, I was whacked down on Percocets. So
but around that time, right?
It wasn't 2007 because I was at 2007 and they did not.
No, it was later. So it was either 2009 or around that time frame. Yeah.
Cool. All right, he's fresh from a nap. Ken, what do you got for us?
I'm shot over a cannon now. You got me all. That's fucked me up. You
Is he going to talk about Magma again? I'm gonna go over here.
You stole 2 of my picks already. So what is this? I'm gonna kill Chuck. So
Wow.
Just because I feel like it. So I had 2 Hall of Fame picks. One was Magma. The other one of my boys, this is like family to me, is Morgable. So I figure you guys are going to talk about Morgable. Incredible trio, jazz rock, jazz metal, fusion, whatever you want to call them, prog rock, incredible band. So I'll let you guys talk about it. Two bands. First one that I got here, just to be a little different, Transit Express. So Transit Express was a French fusion quartet. They were led by the keyboard player Serge Perethona. I'm sorry, Serge, I'm killing your name. Very, very simple formula. The band was kind of modeled after Return to Forever, Mahavishnu, definitely in that vein. Just unbelievable musicianship. The soloing is totally sick. A lot of back and forth soloing guitar and keyboards. This is Opus Progressive was their second album. And on the title track, the American violinist David Rose played, and then he became a member of the band. And so they became a quintet for the 5th album, which was called Couleurs Naturales. And Rose took a little bit more of a prominent role, but overall, just spectacular. If you're a jazz rock fusion fan, you have to own the 3 Transit Express albums. The next one, Chuck mentioned, Helden. And I kind of arbitrarily picked Alteja. The band was led by Richard Pinhas, guitar player. Richard had a very strong affection for Robert Fripp. The first track on the album is called In the Wake of King Fripp. It's a lot of the early Helden albums. There's sort of 2 distinct periods. The early albums, very much dominated by Pinhas on electronics and guitar. There's sort of an industrial quality to some of it. He does a lot of looping, a lot of abrasive sounds at times. But there are other musicians, a lot of guys from the French jazz rock scene playing with him. And ultimately, it kind of coalesced the later albums into much more of a band sound, very much influenced by King Crimson. I mean, a lot of Mellotron, very heavy, very, very dark. I find that a lot of the French bands are very, very dark. That's sort of a signature. I've referenced in the past the Crypto label, which was a French label that was started by Ange's manager. And all those bands that were on that label all have this very, very dark sound. Helden, kind of characteristic of it. And in fact, the other thing is that Yannick Top, who was the great bass player who played with Magma, again, at one point he played with Helden as well. So that's what I got so far. My first 2, Transit Express and Helden.
Great choices. All right, Eric. By the way, it's pouring here.
You're finally getting it.
And look how happy Pete is, man.
The little rain dance.
I'm telling you, that's
Pete's happier than a 12-year-old that just figured out what to do with his right hand.
Like, oh man,
Nothing here.
we haven't had rain like this in probably like 2.5 months. So, I mean, it probably won't last for long, but hey, it's whatever. It's been 10 minutes so far. Yes. Anyway, Eric, sorry.
No, you're fine. This topic brought out my love for violin. I think most of the bands that I have violin in them. I'm going with Surya, and again, sorry if I mispronounced that, from Didier Lockwood at number 5. I first heard this on the Gagley Archives years ago. Loved it, went out and bought it. Unfortunately, the last 2 tracks have some vocals which I prefer were not there, but other than that, it's really an excellent record. I don't have much else by him. This is my favorite of what I have. And my number 4, thank you, Chad, and I had brought these guys up prior, is Fergus band Phenomena. And this band, for me, they've got everything. They're all instrumental. You've got horns. They have a great guitar player. Violin is there as well, which I absolutely love. These guys kill. And I do, again, unlike Pete and a lot of you guys, I don't have everything. I've got, I think, 1 or 2 others of theirs, but this is phenomenal. This came, I think, with the Nearfest show as well. But just absolutely fabulous. That band has everything for me. I love them. And I find them very tuneful as well. It's not out there stuff at all. They're really melodic, great players. And that's 5 and 4 for me.
Cool. Great choices. George.
Bonjour, everybody.
Bonjour.
Sure.
Sure.
Number 5 is Morgable. I'll talk about them a little bit. They formed in the late 90s. The first 2 records I feel are a little bit hit or miss. I mean, good stuff, but then a little stuff that like they really haven't figured it out. Maybe coincidentally, they signed with Ken. This is the first one with him. And this is where, to me, they put it together. They start putting out really good records all the time after this. Up until, I think the last one, the Scott Rohde one, I think sounds like the well ran dry a little bit for me. But they're instrumental prog with a shred album mentality a little bit. They're out to blow you away sometimes. A little bit of sense of humor too, if you like that. If you don't know these guys, anybody that's into like Aristocrats or something should check these guys out because I think they do it a little bit better. So, Morgable. Number 4 is a prog metal band from Venturia. Split vocals, male and female, both good, very professional. The production is like crystal clear. Keyboard player Kevin Codford, virtuoso. The guitar player too, Charlie Sahona. Guy's a massive player. They did a double disc Sean Lane tribute for Lion Music. He's the only guy that covered a Sean Lane song. Everybody else copped out and did an original in the style of Sean Lane. But 3 albums. I think the first 2 are about equal. The third one, they chased the girl and the guitar player started singing, and that's never good. So that one is not as good, but the first 2 are definitely recommended prog metal. Venturia.
George, Codford, he was also in My Wrath, no? He played with My Wrath?
Produces them, and he's in Adagio.
Adagio.
Yeah.
She was a little schmaltzy, as I remember, a little Broadway,
She's very commercial, so
but she was good.
the male singer's commercial sounding too, but I think they're both good.
Guitar playing is great on those.
Yeah.
Cool. Good picks. All right, I have Stephen and Anthony's picks. I'll do them first here before I get to mine. So Stephen's number 5 is an artist named Frank Carducci. And the album he picked is The Answer. Not familiar with that one. Number 4 is Lazuli. Tant que l'herbe est grasse. Did I say that correctly? I have no idea.
Yeah.
It begins. It begins.
Yeah. So leave it to me to be the one to mention all this. All right. Anthony's number 5 is Pulsar. And his number 4 is Clear Light Symphony. Excellent choices. All right. My number 5. Let's see what we got mine here. So my number 5, I'm going to go with a band that's it's more of a metal band, but they have certainly a lot of proggy influences. Some call them prog metal, some call them technical death metal. I think their most recent album, Fortitude, is probably the one that has the most appeal to people watching this particular show. Gojira, a lot of great albums, good heavy band, really kind of complicated riffing and song arrangements, and there's some really trippy atmospheric stuff in their music. I dig them quite a bit. So that's my number 5. And my number 4 is going to be Pulsar. I really like this album, The Strands of the Future, quite a bit. You really can't go wrong with the early Pulsar albums. Just cool, kind of really intricate, spooky, dark. I mean, Ken hit the nail on the head. A lot of these French bands, their music is really, really dark. I'm sure we're going to talk about a couple more of them before we get done here tonight. And I just love this album cover. I think it's totally awesome. This is the old Musea edition of this album. And yeah, just Pulsar. They got a couple really, really good albums. I think this is my favorite of the 2 or 3 that I like the most. But yeah, great stuff. Pulsar. So back to.
We should say one of the things you should say that Musea did a great job.
Yeah.
Cataloging, French progressive music.
Yep.
They work with a lot of new bands, but they did a really nice job reissuing, the bands of the 70s and really, if you're looking for a lot of these albums, most of them have been reissued. And Musea, the text is very good sounding CDs,
Yep.
first class production. You can't go wrong with the Musea reissue.
Yeah, there was like, to me, I always thought that Musea did a great job of unearthing every little hidden gem that was under some rock from some corner of the world that needed a CD release. And it was always quality, I mean, you get the CDs, you get these great booklets loaded with information and like live, I mean, this, live shots of the band. I'll just quickly show this. I know there's gonna be a little bit of glare here, but and nice long essays about the bands. I mean, all their releases were like this. I mean, I bought in the 90s, I bought so much Musea stuff. I used to go to Nearfest every year in and year out, and I would spend probably like $400 or $500 on CDs from Ken's table or Greg Walker's table or Steve Feigenbaum's table. And I would get home and I would look at like, I'd have 30 CDs and like 20 of them would be Musea releases or something like that. It's just, it was crazy.
Yeah. Unlike a British label that does reissues that have beautiful booklets and all, the Musea ones are just as nice and they actually have good sound. So
yeah, good
and
quality.
they would dig up like bonus tracks and
Oh yeah, live stuff. Yeah,
quality. Yeah, so you could always find these.
Yeah, but it was good to be a prog fan in the 90s and have Musea, releasing all that cool stuff. It was really.
They're still around. The label's still around.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Chuck.
Just not very much, but
yeah, I know they've been a little quiet in years.
All right, my number 3 from the French bands is another band, Atoll, musicians and it's musicians and magicians, Atoll. And the next one, I don't even want to butcher this, but
Do it.
my number 2 is Mona Lisa, and it's if I'm not mistaken, is Aventure ne Soy Trop Tard.
Perfect.
it's the original cover.
I love that cover. This is an amazing cover, but yet that cover, the one that Ken has, is just awesome. Great band. But what's a matter of fact, both bands, you can't go wrong with either band. That people normally tend to say that Ange sounds a lot like the French version of Genesis, but until you hear these two bands over here, Mona Lisa and Atoll, then you get to hear the influence of bands like Genesis and Strawbs, King Crimson, Procol Harum in their music. The Mona Lisa album is just amazing. And for anybody that's ever heard the album, it's pretty damn well done. Yep. Very symphonic, very theatric. Like most of the stuff that from their symphonic albums. So, excuse me, can't go wrong with either band. Now, Mona Lisa is my number 2, and the other one is Atoll.
To me, when you talk about the French bands, you always seem to have like two different kinds. There was the ones like Chuck just mentioned, along with Ange, who were the more theatrical and symphonic. And then you had the darker ones, like we've already mentioned, Pulsar. We're probably going to mention a few more here today, who were totally complete opposite of that. Dark and menacing, kind of follow along from like King Crimson, maybe a little bit. So, yeah.
From my way of thinking, the two most important bands, really, in terms of influencing other bands, was Magma and Ange.
Yeah.
Because like Chuck just mentioned, Atoll and Mona Lisa, very much derivative of Ange, I think, but better than Ange, actually.
Well, I was going to say that, but better.
I was never, somebody may mention Ange. They're on my honorable mentions, but very important band in France. But to me, it was like the vocals were a little too overwrought, a little too, just too much lyrics and not enough space for the instruments. Atoll had a great guitar player, Christian Bale.
Oh,
and Mona Lisa, very, very theatrical, Genesis influence, but all derivative of Ange, but taken to the next level.
Yep, I would agree with that. Yep. Chad.
All right, my number 3, I'm going to go right back to Musea. And it's a band I forgot about. When we were doing this, I dug it back out and I forgot how much I liked it. That's Edition Spéciale
I like
That
that.
one?
Well
Nice.
done. Mhm.
Real nice
Yep.
fusion album. They had 3 albums. This is their second one, and I believe the highest rated. So if you're going to search
better
these
of the
guys
two.
out, this one's called Aliquin. I don't know. How was that?
There we go.
That's pretty bad.
If it was in Spanish, it would be Aliquante. How about that? But real solid fusion album. Like Ken said, they like Musea does. They have the original 1977 album on here, plus 2 bonus tracks, and they're solid tracks as well. So my number 3 is Edition Special, and my number 2, I bought this off of Uncle Steve Feigenbaum in 2002 at Prog Day, and it's L'Ensemble Ray. If anybody knows this one, these guys are really playful. There's a lot of like time signature bouncing around. Real fun listen. The guys certainly have a sense of humor. A lot of acoustic in it, but really just it's hard to explain. But it's very fun and playful is how I always think about this, and it always puts me in a really good mood. It's a really fun album. This one is called Nemo in Hiver. I don't know. I have no idea how to say it, but they have a decent catalog from what I understand. I haven't gotten too much farther into it, but this one I absolutely love, and that's L'Ensemble Ray, number 2.
And as always, everybody, we will be posting these bands and some of the album titles in the comments below. It'll be pinned post because I know we're all butchering all this stuff. So we're doing the best we can.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Doing the best we can. All right, Lewis.
All right, before I go on, I would like to try to say something in French for our French viewers. I always have this problem when we play in Montreal and Quebec, so I'm just going to try to say it. Je voudrais dire pour nos amis français que nous sommes tous vraiment désolés, mais nos français, c'est vraiment pathétique. C'est pour ça que nous parlons comme ça, and therefore we're going to continue to mention your band names in English because our French truly blows dog. Okay, so all right, so my number 3 is a band that I discovered years ago thanks to Steve Feigenbaum. This is a beautiful band. It's very angular, but I love what they do. I'm talking about Nebel Nest.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And this is an album called, yeah,
Gee, who discovered Nebel Nest?
Zepto.
oh.
I don't know, man, but I hear Cuneiform Records.
You could hear
There you
whatever you
go.
want. I found that fucking band.
Laser's Edge, right
Yeah.
there.
All right.
Jesus
Well,
Christ.
whoever the fuck did it,
I get no
here's to you.
respect. I swear to God.
Oh man.
Pick the
All right.
shittiest album. God damn, I'm pissed tonight.
this is good.
I gotta
shit.
get more sleep.
Yeah. Take another nap, Ken.
Okay, that's right. Take another nap, Grandpa. Shut the fuck up. And my number 2 has already been mentioned, but I think it deserves to be mentioned again because they really are that good. I'm talking about a band that Eric brought up, which I also was lucky enough to see live at Nearfest. That Patrick Fergus is a drummer. He's the band leader, and he does a lot of the writing. And Fergus band Phenomena is an absolutely stunner band. They have any record you buy from them is good. I have a very soft spot for this one because this one includes a concert that we saw at Nearfest, and that was just fucking magic from the first note to the last. But there's one called L'Oreille Électrique, the electric ear, and this one has a strange name. I'm going to attempt to say it. It says, La grande roue ne sera bientôt plus qu'un souvenir, which I believe means the big wheel will soon be nothing more than a souvenir. And it has some kind of Ferris wheel or some kind of mill or something. So anyway, I cannot say enough good things about Fergus band. These guys are great, and everything that Eric said, I second. They are musical to a fault, but they're also inventive. They like to take chances. Everybody in the band smokes. There isn't a weak link. So I don't mean smokes. I don't know if they do, but what I mean is they play great music and nothing but respect and affection for these guys. So
If they're French, they smoke.
well, yeah, of course, but I don't know if they smoke the sweet leaf or they smoke the ugly leaf. But anyway, Nebel Nest and Fergus Band.
I will say your French was sounded really authentic, Louis.
Well, it's always been a problem. I do my best when we go on tour, but I usually need like a little piece of paper, and everybody just encouraged me to continue. So then I would just start saying really vulgar things, and then they told me to stop, and this is how I go on.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Just like your English.
Precisely.
Well, it's a great pick with Nebelness because I completely forgot about them.
Same
That's
here,
great,
man.
great band. So, and of course, I remember Ken's release. I mean, that's
You know, Luis, I have a million Nebel Nest stories. You could ask Steve about them.
Well, I'm sure he'll tell me a better.
He'll tell you
version.
about the time we took them off of tattoos and piercings. Good. Steve will tell you all about that.
there you go. Boy, I think we know what tomorrow. We know what tomorrow morning's call between Ken and Steve is going to be all about.
Yeah.
I'll wake
good.
him up.
We'll get you a Rodney Dangerfield shirt for the SOT
Unbelievable.
Fest. How's that?
Unbelievable.
No respect.
It's true.
All
Is
right,
it my
Ken,
turn?
you're up, Ken.
Well, you know, I intentionally went for bands that had like a body of work instead of one and done. There's a million one and done French bands.
Mhm.
So you guys wipe
Unfortunately,
me out.
Chuck was looking in your window this morning and probably
So,
saw you.
I think you all were. You all were because you wiped me out. So, so my next one, I'll mention. Chuck mentioned Mona Lisa. Except I have it with the pretty cover. So, as we said, you know, French band, very, very much derived from Ange, along with Atoll. Very influenced by Genesis. Very influenced by Gabriel era Genesis. If you like symphonic prog with flute, lots and lots of mellotron, you should hear Mona Lisa. Good band. Some people don't like them. Vocals aren't their strong point, but they were good. They were a good band. Next one I'll mention. Everybody else has mentioned it, so I might as well. Is Pulsar. Love this cover. We can get it in there.
Yep.
There we go. Strands of the Future. So this was their Strands of the Future was their second album. First one, Polen, was a very nice album, but that was kind of like the calling card. But Strands of the Future, for me, is my favorite. Although I think Halloween, their third album, is their best. I have just a little story about this. The band first came on my radar. I'm going to name drop. I don't know if he watches, but Alan Gunnison. Some of you guys may know Alan. He used to write for Trouser Press. He had a column called Across the Channel, and he wrote about Polen. And so Pulsar was on my radar. And then one day I was in Corvettes in Flushing, flipping through the import section, and I saw this cover, and I was like, I had to have this album. You know, I was like jonesing for this thing in the worst way. So I don't think I ever got as high in my life without smoking dope. I mean, listening to this album, there's sort of kicks off with like Tangerine Dream synthesizers, sort of drift into the air. And I mean, I was like over. I mean, a lot of the French bands are very dark, but Pulsar were dark, but they were also very, very spacey. It's kind of, I guess you could get away with calling these guys space rock.
Like early Nectar. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. You get a lot of that. There's a lot of mellotron. There's a lot of flute on all their albums. You get plenty of kind of ominous organ sounds. The vocals are really kind of sparse. And on Strands of the Future, if you listen real carefully, you figure out that they're singing in English. Not the best, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's English. So that's what I got. I got Mona Lisa and Pulsar, and I'll save my last one that you guys already copped. The show sucks tonight.
Well, Ken, you can have a little fun with me here because I took a little heat for this in the beginning, but I'm going with it anyway. I'm going with Gong. And they were formed in France, so that's what I'm going with. I don't like the spacey Gong stuff. but once they got into their jazz period, this one I think has Daryl Way on a couple tracks. Holdsworth plays on a few. Pierre Morelin's gone. We'll go with that. Maybe that makes it a little more French, but I love that period of them. Like I said, I don't care for the spacey early period, but Formed in France is good enough for me. So you guys can throw the arrows. And this band we've talked about, thank you. And this is the one I picked up most recently. I think I like Jazz for the Deaf by Morgable. That's my favorite, I think, up to this point of what I've heard from them. I grabbed this when we did go visit Ken a couple weeks ago. Christoph is just, he blows my mind on guitar. I've been listening to this quite a bit, but like I said, I think Jazz for the Deaf is my favorite. But I love these guys. You have to hear them. And George probably said it best with, if you dig the Aristocrats, maybe they do it a little better, but check these guys out.
They're too good. Morganville's problem is, and I say this as they record on my label, they're too good a band. Nobody wants them to tour. Nobody wants to tour with them. I mean, that's the God's honest truth. I mean, it's difficult for them to get traction in the US because, they're not well known, but they're too good to open up for anybody. They're just, I won't name specific band, but that's been mentioned.
I know who you mean.
But, yeah. And, we try to set up tours and they're kind of on their own. It's difficult. Who wants to go on stage after watching those guys play?
Oh, no.
Yep. All right, George.
Number 3 is Tony Brunell. Came out in the mid 70s. Played in a outfit called Volcor with J.D. Lockwood. Then he hooked up with Chick Corea and played a couple years with his bands, and then before going solo in the late 70s. Solo albums through the years, but took the 2000s off to do a band unit called Cab. Had 6 albums, and now he's back to doing solo records. So pretty sparse, only 2 records in the 2010s. So he's kind of slowing up for whatever reason, I don't know. Number 2 is Alteja. This is the newest band I got. Only 2 albums so far. Really good prog metal. This probably the closest thing to Haken on the scene. We definitely have a Haken vibe. Probably not the players that Haken is, but the songwriting and the melodic vehicle, it's very similar to that kind of vibe. One of the stronger, newer prog metal bands on the scene, I think. So Alteja.
Great choice. Yeah, they're really good. We've for those watching, we reviewed both of their albums here on the channel. Both really, really good. So that's a great pick. All right. So Steven's number 3 is Lalu. And he listed the Atomic Arc album. And number 2 is Nemo. Yeah. Who are currently disbanded, but their main songwriter, Jean-Pierre Louveton, has a very interesting solo career that continues their legacy. So Nemo, kind of like a like a neo-prog kind of band, but really, really good. I've heard quite a few of their albums. So that's Steven's 3 and 2. And let's get to Anthony. Anthony's number 3 is Asia Minor. Good choice. And Jean-Michel Jarre.
Jean-Michel Jarre. Very well. Look at Anthony.
That's
Always surprising. Well
This is
done.
surprising.
Yeah.
Good picks.
I'm surprised that Stephen didn't pick Jean-Michel Jarre. That guy loves those
Yeah.
records.
Stay
I
tuned.
knew it was going to be picked by a few people, so I stuck him to the side. Love him though.
Yeah.
Asia
Yeah.
Minor,
It's fun. It's funny you say that, Chuck, because all the bands I picked, I said, nobody's going to mention these bands.
oh man, play me.
I'm going to Plan Z.
All right. My number 3 is Transit Express. And I'm going to go with, I guess, how do you say this? Prog Seat.
Quick lock again.
Progressive, however you say that. This is album number 2 for them. Everything Ken said before. Dynamite, fusion, jazz rock, little bits of prog here. I like the some of the synth playing is very, very proggy, but man, you got this ripping guitar and then the violin and just really, really good stuff. And this particular album, I love the ensemble playing, a lot of short songs, which reminds me a little bit of Mahavishnu, like especially their second album, but killer stuff. And why this band is not more known to folks who like RTF and Mahavishnu and Lifetime and whatnot, I'll never know. But yeah, Transit Express, my number 3. And my number 2 is going to be Morgable. I like the reference to, if you like the Aristocrats, you'll like Morgable. I think basically the Aristocrats and Morgable have a similar sense of humor because their compositions are very zany and quirky, but these guys bring the metal. So if you like the Aristocrats, but you want to hear a lot more muscle behind it, these guys will blow you away with just tremendous riffs and solos. I mean, he's just such a terrific guitar player. But again, it's quirky, it's humorous. You always get, whenever I listen to this band, I get the impression they really don't take themselves too seriously, but their chops are just so amazingly ridiculous and their arranging skills are off the charts. So a great man. Like Eric said, I think Jazz for the Deaf is my favorite, but I kind of like a bunch of them, so a lot. So I don't know. You can't really go wrong with any of them. So Morgable, my number 2. Back to Chuck.
Excellent picks. All right, well, my number 1, obviously, is going to be Punch. It's, in my opinion, perhaps the greatest symphonic French band there ever was, and so, especially for that time, very influential band. Like Ken mentioned, they can be a bit more over the top and so with their theatrics. I really never liked the Genesis tag on them and so, but although you can hear it in them and so, but I think they were a bit more like Procol Harum and perhaps like Van de Graaff Generator more than they were ever like Genesis. Very dark band. A lot of their lyricism, their lyrics bordered on both religious and also like very dark type of lyricism. The title track on this album over here, I'm going to try to say this as best as I can. Au-delà du délire.
Au-delà du délire.
Délire. So the title track is just amazing. What's La Pétale de Sucre and Fils de Lumière. These are 3 songs that make up the second side of the album, or like the last part of it, is where you get to hear their amazing guitars. Jean-Michel Beziard, which is just amazing, especially on the title track, man. It's just one of those songs that as the album goes on, so you get to hear his guitar playing. And the Orange was just one of those amazing bands, man. That's my number 1 pick, Orange.
Great artwork on their albums too.
Oh yes.
They had 3 key albums: The Cemetery de Harlequins, Au-delà du délire, and the other one, Jesus Christ. I'm having a case of the olds. Paulus Field de Mandarin, by the Sons of Mandarin. So those 3 are like the core. You got those, but man, you got to like French vocals.
Yeah,
great album.
Very tough, man.
Cool. All right, Chad.
All right, my number 1's not going to be any surprise, and that is Morgable. You guys have mentioned him. You love him. You know him. I really like this early collection. Ken reissued the first 2 albums here. I know George sends like the later stuff. I love stuff like Jazz for the Dead or Jazz for the
Deaf.
That's the next album.
Jazz for the Dead's the next one.
They haven't recorded that one yet.
Yeah, and geez, just grotesque, great albums. There's some nice raw tracks on these first albums that I like a lot. We had them open the 10th anniversary of Nearfest in 2008, and after show, Rob passed me in the hallway, and Rob's more of a keyboard guy, so he was not resistant, but he trusted me that Morgable was going to be good, right? So he passes me in the hallway after Morgable's done, and he goes, "You were right," with this big shit-eating grin on his face. It was great. But I've seen these guys many times, several times live. I shouldn't say many. I've seen them several times live. And Christoph and Yvonne and Arl, they're awesome guys. They're super gracious. They're hysterical. They play with such lack of effort, seeming lack of effort. And the humor is always flowing. I do not know how Christoph plays the licks he plays without looking at his strings. It's absolutely superhuman. And they're phenomenal guys. I wish they could come over here more often. And I can't say enough good things about them. Morgable should be in everyone's collection.
They're very good house guests too.
Hey, they even wrote a song for you called Golden Ribs.
That's right. Me too. I wanted it. I'd still like to do it someday. I want to have them play in my backyard. I want to do a backyard concert with them.
Yeah, you know, I remember we talked about that a long time ago, and we were going to do a little circuit. I was going to have them play here too.
Yeah. That was when I think I told that story when I blew out my knee in the blizzard in 2010. Wow. So I was laying on my deck in a snowbank, and I was waiting for the ambulance to come to get me. And the local cop shows up. He walks up on the deck. I'm laying there. I was in a state of shock, and I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "You know, is there any kind of ordinance about how late and how loud a band can play?" If I have and I got to tell you something. My leg, one part of my leg is going in one direction. The other part of my leg is going. I had ruptured my patella tendon. Basically, my kneecap was torn off, and so my leg was like going like an L, and it was like, and I was totally out of it. I'm laying there. I was like, "Let me ask you a question. You know, if I want to have a band playing here, is there any problem? Do I need a permit or anything like that?" And the guy was looking at me like I was out of my mind. I was literally out of my mind. I mean,
so basically, you were laying there at a perfect angle on your deck, thinking, "Well, the band could be over there."
That's absolutely right.
You were asking the important questions. I don't know anything about medicine. Let them do that shit.
Yeah,
I'm waiting
for EMS to come.
So while you're here, let me ask you something.
Yeah, I'm waiting for EMS to come, and I'm laying there and I'm looking out, and I'm in my mind, I'm like, I'll put the stage over there, and you know, and then next thing I know, they're throwing me on a gurney and taking me over to the hospital. But
hey, Ken, if you can dig up any pictures of that, I think Chuck would like to see it.
You wouldn't want to see it. That's not something you want to. I could show you the scars if you want to see.
Oh, that's right.
I got about an 8-inch scar on my left knee.
But you never got an answer, is what you're saying.
Well, no, he did actually. He actually told me. He said we have a curfew. The curfew is 11 o'clock. You don't need a permit. Up to 11 o'clock, you can do it. So I'd still like to do it someday.
Come on, man.
I was going to say, what's the holdup? It's been 10 years, Ken, or 12 years. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. I work slowly. I'm very methodical.
He needs a new stylist. We have to wait.
All right, Lewis, your number one pick.
All right, so I didn't realize that there was a Hall of Fame classification.
There is.
Because I originally came into this thinking I'm just gonna go with a tie for number one and fuck it. But I guess I can just do that anyway because I already explained to the French viewing people that how we roll. So for number one, it really is a tie. These are my two absolutely favorite French bands. I have to give it to Art Zoid because I absolutely fucking love Art Zoid. Mm-hmm. And I know that Ken discovered them before they even formed, but I first got to hear them being in Baltimore through Steve Feigenbaum, and I love that band. I think that Steve Feigenbaum, in fact, a while back put out a box set of like 12 CDs or 10 CDs. I think he's sold out, but if you can find one in the used market, it's going to cost you a lot of money, but it's going to be totally worth it, provided that you like, angular, avant, experimental shit, right? Which is not to everybody's taste. But I got to say, Art Zoe, they're amazing. And I just can't say enough good things about them. And anything I do say about them sounds pathetic to me. So I'm just going to shut the fuck up. And after that, I have to go with these guys also. Workable as my number one. People have talked a lot about their character and they talked a lot about their musicianship, but I think we can talk about it some more because I don't think we've said enough. I think it's a crime, really, that the guys that put together the G3 tour haven't invited these dudes to be on it. It really is a crime. If you have Phil Collin of Def Leppard, and I'm not hating, I'm just saying, you got that dude there. You need these guys on the bill.
Amen.
What the fuck? Joe Satriani, hello? Knock, knock, knock.
Yep.
Get on it. Get on it. And because they do exactly what Pete said. They're like the aristocrats, but with it's not that they don't take themselves seriously. I think they take their craft very seriously, but they understand that if you take yourself too seriously, you're a bit of an asshole, and they kind of build that into their act. And it's a gorgeous thing. I twice in my life I've opened for bands, and even I forgot that I played. One time we opened for Sleepy Time at Orion Studios with a group called Uncle Gut. The other time we opened for Morgable at Reggie's with the Devil's Staircase. And that was a great show and I had a lot of fun, but I gotta tell you, these guys are the real deal. And I'm saying this even though I very often get into arguments with their drummer, Aurélien, because he doesn't believe in vaccines, and I keep telling him that he he's a great drummer, but he's really stupid. He needs to shut up. But I love him. He knows that. But we get into it, and of course Ivan and Christophe are just great human beings. So I just don't know how else we can help them get more exposure. Chad said it. If you don't have these records, go buy them.
That man right down there.
Right here. He's got them all. There.
Yep.
Ken,
Oh,
I don't know where he is with respect to me.
I don't know if I have them all, but I got some of them still. So
I mean, just buy whatever the fuck he's got.
we run out, and then the band goes on tour, and they say, Ken, can you press up another 500? You can press up another 300. I'm like, yeah, sure, and I do it. So
that it really is as simple as that. I'll tell just one story. They once came. One of the times they played in Chicago, I went to see them. I was not on the bill. I just went to see them in a North Side club. And it was one of those gigs where the only people in attendance were the band getting played. There was nobody else there except the fucking bands that were waiting to play. And they were the last, or they weren't even the last. They were the people who booked the show didn't understand who the fuck these guys were, right? So they were like in the middle of the bill somewhere. And they get up there, and I'm the only person there who went to see them, explicitly just to see them. Of course, my mind melted. And then I'm talking to Christophe after the show, and I get back in to get another beer, and I realize that the next band is setting up their shit, but their guitar player is just grabbing his case and his stuff, and he's going out, and the guys are like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I quit." "What do you mean you quit?" "I quit, dude. Did you not see what just happened? I'm gonna go sell all my shit. Fuck you guys. I'm done." This is what we're talking about here. And it's not just flashy chops and super speed runs. It's melody, it's interesting chord progressions, it's humor, it's everything that you might want from an instrumental band. And then shit you didn't even know you wanted, but they throw them in there. So I truly would like to encourage anybody who's watching this, please get these records. Jazz for the Death is a masterpiece, but they all have good things. I agree that the very last one is not necessarily their best one, but you know what? The heart wants what the heart wants right there. And I just love this band unconditionally. In my book, they can do no wrong. They haven't really done anything horrendous at all, even far from it.
Luis, actually, we have here that rarely sells. We have a DVD, a live DVD that they put out, that they put out themselves. So if you want to like see the band, I don't even, frankly, I haven't watched it in a long time. I don't remember the quality, but I know we have stock on it. If you want to really see Morgable, you gotta see him live. You know,
Please, this is a plea. I never ask people for shit, but you need to listen to this band. It's a
Morgable.
fucking crime. Morgable. And their name, look at that fucked up name.
Mhm.
And you know where that came from? The band was formed and they were offered a gig and they didn't have a band name. And they told Christophe, so what's it, what, you know, and he just kind of blurted out some shit down the phone. Hung up. That's where this came from. So even the name is got a funny story to it. So I don't know what to say. All I can say is please give them a shot. You can find 100 different ways in which you can waste $12 or $15 that are not going to compare to this. So please get this stuff. Right. That's it. I'm done.
So,
I'm gonna drink my
second
beer.
that.
yep, Morgable, do it, feed people, do it. All right, Ken. you
All right,
know-
well, Luis, I should tell you that me and Steve went to see Art Zoid at Lincoln Center, I think it was. They did the live soundtrack to Nosferatu.
You bastards.
And thank God it wasn't on a Tuesday night, otherwise Steve wouldn't have gone.
Really? Steve would have missed Art Zoid because it was a Tuesday?
Well, you know, you have Pilates, you know, it's
Yeah.
That's right.
Why do you think he's not on this show every week?
Oh, what a fucking joke. All right, that's true.
so all right. I was gonna talk about Shylock, but you all fucked me and talked about Shylock. Great French band, made 2 great albums. Frederick Lippe, now he has Yang, great, dark, crimson, buy it. It's great. But I'm gonna take a left turn here, and I'm just gonna wing it because it just came in today. A great new French band that you guys should support. And Pete, I mailed you a promo from the band this afternoon. Okay, with a little thank you. The band is called Estasis.
Stasis.
Estasis. I talked about this last year, I think it was. And this is their first album called The Awakening. And I remember in the comments, everybody saying, what did he say? Estasis. And this just came in today. This is their second album, just came out about a week ago. It's called Watching Worlds Collide. The first album, really, it was like one of the best albums that year, which was, I guess it was 2020. It was one of my favorite albums of 2020. Very sort of Riverside is a reference point, Pink Floyd. But when I say Riverside, I mean like Out of Myself, you know, early Riverside.
Yeah.
Porcupine Tree, definite influence. And then this new one, the band, I should say, the band is Aurélien Good. And Aurélien, I apologize, I know he watches this. He watches Prog Seat, and I just killed his name. But it takes a little bit of it's an actual band, but it's his vehicle. And this one takes a little bit of a turn. It's got some jazz elements. It's not so Floydian, but there's still undercurrents of it there. I hear a lot of similarities to like Steven Wilson's work, his solo work, but like the good Steven Wilson shit, not the, you know. So I think that this new one, I've got to really digest it because it is different than this one, but not so different. I think this album is gonna make a lot of top 10 lists.
What's the name of the band again, Cam?
Estasis. It's ESTHESIS. And like I said, this one, we just got a ton of copies showed up this afternoon by DHL. Thank you. And we restocked this one, which they sold out of, and he repressed it, The Awakening. I can't recommend the band highly enough, but they're like a real band. They're I think they're in the process of touring right now. It's great shit. And while I would have loved to talk about this, I'm actually happier to talk about this. So
Nice.
that's what I got.
I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Yeah. He loves the show and he wanted you to review it. So he sent me a copy specifically. Please send this to Pete. And I
Okay,
did.
sounds good.
I do what I'm told.
Awesome.
So Can I make fun of Eric? Can I make fun of
Coming up
Eric?
on a Wednesday in the not too distant future.
Can I make fun of Eric just because?
Bring it on.
No,
Speaking of Eric, what do you got?
He's my number one. I listen to him all the time. I listen to the 70s stuff, the King Kong, right up through. I don't really listen to anything beyond his 70s releases, but Pawnee I listen to all the time. So he has to be my number one, obvious or not. So short and sweet for number one. Hall of Fame. He's Hall of Fame, Ken.
Jean-Luc Ponty.
He's my
I
Hall
never
of
got
Fame.
to. I never got to see him.
Strange. Mhm.
I had tickets for him at the Palladium, and UK was supposed to be the opening act, and then they canceled UK. I returned my tickets.
Isn't that a shame?
Or it was,
Should be
maybe
ashamed.
I made that. Maybe it was Starcastle Logan. It was somebody, and I wanted to see him. They canceled it. Anyway, never saw him. I think Lockwood of the two, I like Lockwood better.
He's a bit more openly outward. So that Luke Ponty he's brilliant violinist, but he's very controlled. You can tell that he has a jazz background. You know.
Well, he had a serious jazz background, and the thing is, and then he evolved into jazz rock, right? I mean, he played with the heavyweights in jazz. Then he got into the whole jazz rock thing, made these spectacular jazz rock albums, and then he just kind of went into like soft territory, you know. Whereas a guy like Lockwood, he started out as a serious jazz player, got into the whole Magma thing, great solo career doing jazz rock, but he also went back and played with the heavyweights. You know, he went back to jazz. He lived in both worlds. I saw him play and a number of times. Saw him play in New York. He was living in New York for about 5 minutes. Saw him play the Seventh Avenue South. Guy was spectacular. Saw him on my honeymoon at the Rex Theater in Paris, 1988. That incredible honeymoon. Lockwood was fantastic. You know, but anyway, just my personal, nothing wrong with Ponty. Guy's amazing.
He's
But as a
amazing.
career, Lockwood, of the two violinists, Lockwood was the guy I prefer.
George.
Well, there, 46 albums. The period from the mid 70s to the end of the 70s is the strongest part. Those albums, I've worn all those out. Some of the other stuff is good too. I haven't begun to hear them all. Can't say I like everyone that I've heard, but the strong parts for me, Didier Lockwood's never written any albums as good as these albums from 75 to 80 that Ponty wrote. And I finally did get to see him with the RTF4 lineup, so that was a definite bucket list item to see Jean-Luc Ponty. But Jean-Luc Ponty.
All right, let me get Stevens here. Where were we? Hold on. All right. Stevens number one is Jean-Michel Jarrett, or Jean-Michel Jarrett, or however he says his name.
Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yes. And the album he listed as his favorite from him is Equinox.
Yes,
It's a good one.
I remember he mentioned that earlier. Yeah,
Yeah, a while ago, right? He talked.
yeah.
Yeah. And Mr. Anthony, Jean-Luc Ponty.
Shocker.
Yeah, big surprise.
My
Great.
number one, Jean-Luc Ponty.
There you go.
Enigmatic Ocean.
Yeah. I
He didn't
mean,
mention Jean Anderson.
John Anderson? No?
No,
Or
Eddie
Elias of
Jobson.
Paris.
Eddie Jobson?
Shit, now I got a drink. Fuck.
No.
Or Stephen Hilage.
That's right.
From the French band Gong.
Yes.
Easy. Easy.
Adrian Belou.
Ariane Bellu. Yeah, oui.
Yeah, I mean, Ponty for me was kind of like a no-brainer. I love the guy. Those 70s albums are amazing. I like I like his album releases up until probably like 85 or so. Then he started to get really kind of like a little too smooth for me. But the 80s albums are still enjoyable. But I think his best period was probably like about 74, 75 till about 82 or 83, I think. But he's done other things, throughout. I wish I would have. I gotta say, Eric, I used to feel the same way about you with Gong. I used to only really like the fusion stuff, the Pierre Morellin's Gong. But I have over the last year, I've grown to really appreciate those earlier albums. Yeah. It's fun stuff. I gotta be in the mood.
Teapot Trilogy are great.
Oh yeah.
Have you guys heard the latest Gong?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good replica.
Yeah.
Dude, but it doesn't suck. It's actually good,
Not at all. It's kind of, to me, it's a mix between, it's got its jazzy moments, it's got the space rock and the psychedelic kind of all.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Respect.
Yeah. All right, anybody got any honorable mentions? We'll go back to Chuck. You got any leftovers?
Just one. And what's that most people probably surprised that I didn't pick them earlier, but definitely got to go with Magma. And Didier Lockyer, Lockwood is one of the guys that we always talk about. He really kills on Contar. But what's that? To me, Magma is just one of those amazing bands, man. Especially live. You get to listen to Christian Vander as a drummer. He's just one amazing, tireless drummer. You think that this guy's going to suffer a heart attack, with all the drumming that he's doing there. He's just nonstop, man.
Not only the drumming, the fucking singing.
The singing.
And he leaves that guy leaves it all on the stage.
Yeah.
He sure does, man. He's like James Brown. James Brown of the Zool movement. That's this is my honorable mention right here, my Hall of Fame, man. Magma.
Cool. Chad.
I got a couple. Already been mentioned, but Ange, I don't reach them very often. They're a little theatrical for me. And like Ken says, maybe the French pronunciation sort of maybe gets in the way a little bit every once in a while. Nebel Nest, I'll go with Ken's release to make him happy. There you go.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
the first
you.
one.
The
Who
best
released
album
that?
too.
I think,
Who released
let me
that,
see.
Chad?
Let me see. I think I can't even do it. There we go.
Oh, the old logo.
Razor's
Yeah, we got
Edge.
the old logo.
Never seen that before.
See that?
That's the old logo.
Been mentioned, but Fergus band. Excellent. One that has not been mentioned is a band called Nil. All right.
Yes.
They made
It's a
two good
great
albums.
record.
They made two good albums.
Yeah, and the
That's a
one
great
before was
record.
this one with the purple. I'm not going to try to pronounce either one of them, but
That was
this
good.
one's
They were
kind of
good.
weird. This is a concept album about Egypt, and it's got 29 short tracks on it. It's very varied. There's good female vocals or sax, and it goes from atmospheric to heavy. Pretty cool. I need to go back and visit this one, but I remember liking it back in the day. So Nil is another one, just NIL. Minimum Vital, nice live album here.
Yep.
Very symphonic, great male and female vocals on it. I think I brought this up in our E. Well, I guess I wasn't there for it, but the E episode Eclat.
Yeah.
And as I'll put up the other one, but as Luis mentioned, Priam, that's their first album. I like
That's right.
I like them both a lot. I figured I'd give them a plug for both of their albums. This one's called Three Distances, Irregular Signs. Kind of doesn't
Yes.
quite roll off the tongue, but great album. And then two that I can't hold up. One is Pulsar, and the other one is Shylock. So that's the honorable mentions from my end.
Cool. Lewis.
All right. Well, people have mentioned Ange, who I had no idea they even existed until I saw them at Nearfest. And the whole thing with the dog leash, I'll never forget that show.
Oh yeah.
I will forget that show. But they are worthy. And my favorite one of theirs that I have is the Cimetière du Harlequin, the Cemetery of Harlequins. I really like a band that has not been mentioned yet, but I really like them, is Shub Niggurath. I think they only have one record, Le Mort Von Vite, which I think means the dead go fast.
Yep. Excellent.
They're
album.
obviously very, very, very influenced by the H.P. Lovecraft mythos and all that stuff. Just really, really cool shit. Of course, Magma. I cannot say enough good things about them. I just didn't want to mention them because I figured they would be in everybody's list, except Pete. Again, I took the merch lady for Sono Sombra to see them live in Chicago because I thought, this is going to be great. You need to see these guys. And at the end of the show, she looked at me and said, "What did I ever do to you?" I don't know how to respond to that. I thought it was a good thing. And I tried to shame her for that response. But really, even though Mara didn't like them, I think they're just a phenomenal band. The whole thing with the language doesn't bother me. I think it's an addition. I love them live. It's difficult for me to listen to their records, but it's very easy for me to lose myself in their music live. That's how I would describe it. When I go to see them live, I leave the hall thinking this is one of the greatest bands that there's ever been, in my opinion. And this is entirely subjective, I understand, but they are just so fucking good.
Luis, you know what it is? Their music has this kinetic energy live. When you see them, the vocals, the chanting, it all just becomes like an instrument. It just becomes a part of the music.
Yes.
When you're sitting and listening at home, it's very different, and the chanting gets up your ass.
But when you're live,
it's different. There's just
it's just I don't have any of their records, and I love them.
Very powerful.
I love them, and I have immense respect for them. You said it best. You cannot overemphasize how important they are and how influential and how great they are. Yeah, come on.
Their own genre of music.
Yeah. They're brilliant, right? They're just fucking brilliant. So, other than those...
You'd think a band like that, that's so eclectic and interesting like that could be difficult to work with. They weren't. They were very, very easy. They were
hyper professional, right?
They were
hyper professional. Yeah.
And not like stone-faced professional. They were very nice. They were very, very cordial, very pleasant. All of them, every single one of them.
Yeah, I ran into Vander in the lobby, and in that rotating entrance to the Trenton thing. Very cool dude. I don't know. I just love everything about them, except their albums. If that makes any sense. I will go see them live anytime they go by, happily. I just don't want to buy their records because they don't really do it for me. I need to see them. I need to be in the trance. I need to be immersed in their music 100%. And then I'm all in.
We need to take Pete to a show and tape him to the chair.
Oh, poor guy, man. His eyes are being...
Why would you want to do that?
Oh, no, I don't know. Just look at his face. Pete has done his due diligence. He did his due diligence. It's not for him. It's all good. But for me, they really do work. I love them. So they're definitely, honor, Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call them. Yes, of course. Right? But I did want to give a shout out to Shub Niggurath because nobody really talks about that band very much. And I think they're very good. So Le Mort Von Vite is a great record.
Yep, it really is. I actually forgot to mention that. So one other great band. I actually have it over there.
Yep, good stuff.
Ken, what do you got?
Our ranking the Magma album is going to be interesting with Pete there.
Oh wow! It'll just be us two.
So I got a long list, but I have no visual aid, so I'm going to blow through it real fast. Don't worry. I have Jean-Pierre Ellarsen, great French guitar player, made two really, really nice prog albums. One jazz rock, the other one's more symphonic. Ange, one and done band, Arachnoid, very dark. Crimson-esque. Carpe Diem, I mentioned when we did the letter C. Clear Light Symphony, that was what Anthony's pick?
Anthony, yeah.
Yeah. Eschaton was another Zool band, another Magma influence band. The great Didier Lockwood we mentioned. Minimum Vital we mentioned. Another dark band, French band, Metabolism. They made one album for the Crypto label. Band that kind of knocked off Soft Machine in a pretty good way, moving gelatin plates. Nebel Nest, yeah, they were good. Nebel Nest, one of Steve's great discoveries. One Shot, who One Shot played Nearfest, right? Didn't
Yes, Fusion Friday.
Yeah, they were the offshoot from Magma. Jean-Luc Ponty, great French band, kind of Zool influenced, jazz rock, Potemkin. They made 3 great albums.
Oh, yeah.
One and done band, the rarest French prog album, Scrivania. Musea put that out on CD. That's like, it was pressed on unobtainium. I've never seen a copy in my life. That's actually pretty good. Speed Limit, great jazz, another great jazz rock band. Surya, which got reissued as a Didier Lockwood album, but it was a band that Didier Lockwood and his brother Francis played in. Wapasu, who were kind of an interesting, very dark, sort of classically influenced band. Another great Magma influenced band, Vidorj. And then the last one I have, great, I keep saying great, but they're all great bands. Zao, Z-A-O, and another fantastic jazz rock band. They had a lot of great albums. So, and Chad fucked up. He never booked them for Nearfest.
Can I just say one thing? I fucked up. I want to correct. There was one band I did want to mention. In the same spirit of Gong, this band is not entirely French, but it is a project of a French guy. It is Pascal Goodman. He's a gentleman from Paris. He's a stick player. This is Pascal Goodman Trio. This has Pascal Goodman, of course, on stick, Ramses Luna on wind, MIDI, and sax, and Kiko King on drums. This is a deep cut. If you guys want to hear this, it will fucking blow you away. This is really, really great. Pascal, pardon, je suis désolé, but this is a great record. So
yeah, Louis, it's so great it's still in the shrink wrap. Right.
oh, we sell these. I have mine downstairs. I just remember it.
Sure.
So
And why don't you crack it open, listen to it, and
no. I actually had to learn the set because I was supposed to play it. So yeah, I saw these guys live twice in Mexico, and they're very, very good. So I just wanted to mention that before I forget. Sorry.
Cool. Eric, you got any left?
Yeah, I think all mine have been mentioned actually, but I did want to reiterate what Lewis said. I bought a couple Magmas prior to their Nearfest appearance. Have never listened to them since. I honestly was blown away. I don't even want to say blown away. I did walk out of there saying I was impressed with their performance, and I thought they were very powerful. So probably like Lewis said, I don't know if I would go see them again, but I was really surprised, I guess, when that was done, the 2003 show. And George mentioned Bunny Brunell. I only have 1 or 2 of his solo albums, but I love Cab. So I'm glad George mentioned him. And as Ken mentioned, I said his thesis, Ken, but obviously I'm pronouncing it wrong.
well, I think we're both pronouncing it wrong.
Probably. And that new one just came out.
It literally showed up today. It showed up this afternoon.
And that pretty much everything else has been mentioned. So that's mine.
Cool. George.
Spiro,
Yeah.
Sure, you forgot about that. Yeah.
late 70s jazz rock albums, very good, Brand style. 633, avant prog band, like a little more commercially accessible, Mr. Bungle style. Aurelie Legrain, 33 albums, gypsy jazz guitar prodigy, been recording since he was 13. And Adagio, neoclassical influenced power prog, 5 albums. They're done now, but great, incredible guitar and keyboard trade-offs.
Adagio were amazing.
First one was the best, I thought. They were good.
All right. Let's get Stevens back here. Stevens got honorable mentions Wolf Spring, who I'm not familiar with. And
That's offshoot from that's JP Louboutin, from Nemo.
oh, gotcha. Okay.
It's an offshoot from Nemo. Thanks.
And Gojira as his other honorable mention. And Anthony's got no honorable mentions. There you go. Okay. So you just had the 5. So for me, I think pretty much all of mine have been mentioned. So I did pull out the Moving Gelatin Plates, one of the weirdest band names of all time, but another really cool Musea release here. I had Carpe Diem on mine, Alteja on mine, Mona Lisa, Atoll, Enge. Shylock almost made my top 5. Shylock is really, really good. Fergus band, obviously, as well. Helden, and I think that's it. Those were all mine. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff mentioned here tonight.
The next country we tackle, I don't give a shit. I'm making up half the bands, and I'll let people figure it out. I will not.
People already think that you do.
I'm not going through this again. I'm sorry. No way. I'm making it up. As I go along, I'll just make it up.
All right. Japan will be next. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
That's okay with me. I got lots of Japanese.
Yeah, Japan. So we've done. Let's see on the channel here. We've done
Italy.
the UK. We've done Italy. We just did France. We did Krautrocks. I don't think we need to do Germany just yet. We probably should do like Sweden or Norway at some point, or
Scandinavia.
Spain. Yep.
Did we do Canada?
Yes. Yep. A long while ago. Yeah.
What about US and US Prog? You did US Prog?
Yep.
What did everybody say? Kansas?
Yeah, Kansas, Star Castle, Happy the Man, Cathedral, Yezda Urfa. I mean, Dream Theater. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but there's plenty of other countries. So we'll South America, some good stuff.
Mexico.
Australia. Yep. There you go. Yep. So we'll get there. So in the meantime, we'll be back. Where do we leave off? Where do we letter F next week?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be back at letter F next week. So we'll do a couple more of the alphabet shows. Then we'll take a break and do another, regular topic. So that's kind of how it's going to be going for the rest of the year here in 2022 here on In the Prog Seat. So I do want to mention everybody who you see here on the computer screen right now will be in Poughkeepsie, New York, October 1st, just about 1 month from today, just a little over a month. So if you feel like hanging out with all of us, as well as the folks on the Hudson Valley Squares, as well as Martin Popoff, as well as various other people who perform on the Monsters Den and all sorts of other shows here on the channel, we will be at the Chance of Poughkeepsie, New York for Sea of Tranquility Fall Fest, alongside people like Chris Caffrey from Savatage and Andy Powell from Wishbone Ash and Nectar and Pat Travers Band and Vanilla Fudge and Sonus Umbra and Epic Tantrum. It's going to be a wild day, 12 hours of talk and music. See Tranquility Fall Fest. Get your tickets now, and we'll see you just in a few short weeks at this point. So stay tuned for that. And a lots more coming up here on the channel. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together. All
the damn time. And please make sure you take some time to go over to lasercd.com, where you can find probably a lot of these albums that were mentioned today on CD or vinyl. So investigate that. Ken will greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
There you go. And we'll see you all next week here on In the Prog Seat. For Chuck Alvarez, Chad Hutchinson, Louis Nasser, Ken Golden, Eric Porter, and George Lemay. I am Pete Pardo. Good night, everybody. See you real soon. Take care.
Good night, everyone.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Oui, oui.